Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I've got a special guest on today, FBDonkey. For those who don't know, sorry, FBDonkey's from the SuperCoach Coach community. They first started doing podcasts back in 2009, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we did about 14 years, 14 seasons of
Wow.
podcasts back before podcasting was popular. And yeah, we've been off for about 3 or 4 years now, just getting older. Life gets in the way with kids and stuff.
I can imagine, but I think you still got a bit of an itch at the moment, don't you? So thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I've still been playing Supercoach just as heavily as always, but yeah, it's just not producing content anymore.
Yeah. No, well, you're always welcome to jump on my channel, so thank you. But just with today, what we're going to go through. Obviously, we've got the special guest there, FB Donkey. We're going to be going through the mids today, and I've also got an SEP Spuds Cup 4 code. So yeah, please jump in. It's open to anyone. And as always, please subscribe as well. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked with the amount of growth I've had this year. So thank you. But yeah, we'll sort of jump into it. So we're going to go through the mids. Where did you want to start? Any thoughts on what your midfield's looking like so far?
Yeah, well, I think it's a pretty standard setup. Mine's really standard, I think. Not sure how deep you want to start off with, but sort of looking at probably four premiums, maybe three mid prices and one rookie on field is where I'm sitting at the moment. I've sort of had originally started with three rookies on field, but I'm just not confident in those midfield rookies at the moment.
Me
So
neither. It's not looking good, is it?
no, and there is some. I've got a bit of confidence with the forwards and the defensive rookies. So, as we always said when we were recording the podcast, you got to follow the rookies. That's what your starting um, place is when you're creating your team. And so, even though I'd like to have more premiums in defense or maybe more premiums up forward, you just got to go where the rookies are, and they don't seem to be in the midfield this year. Even the expensive ones don't seem that great.
Yes, I know. I agree. I'm pretty confident in Sharp though. What are your thoughts? Let's start with the rookies. I'll just change that to under 200,000. And then where are we here? I've got 212. What are your thoughts then on Dersma? Then he's currently 35% owned.
That seems way too high for me. Honestly, never been in my team. Feel like he's going to be an absolute gun, but and should they'll probably play him every week. I just don't see
He's got
him.
good job security, but you just don't think the scoring potential is any good.
Yeah, I just don't see him as an accumulator that's going to get huge percentages. Huge possessions in his first season. So he's more of like a interceptor, playing bit up forward, bit down back. Disposal decision making isn't necessarily awesome, and so I just don't think it'd be a very much a slow burn if you picked him. But there's just going to be better options,
I think so.
cheaper.
I don't know. I just got a feeling he might only get to like 240 or something as well. He's never been in my team, even though he's got that good job security. So Dersman's
Could
been
go
out. Yeah,
could go backwards.
he could go backwards. I know. Without the sub though, I think it's going to be a bit easier this year. You're not going to have to worry about those, you know, single digit scoring games, unless it's just a really bad game, obviously, which still could happen. But yeah, I'm not going Dersma as well. So, is there anyone else around that 200 that sort of stood out for you though? Like, what about
Well,
Newlands, for
yeah, so
instance?
Yulin's got 42% ownership. And when you watched quarter one the other night, like he just made an instant impact in that game. Possession was a bit questionable straight up, but definitely looks like a player, definitely looks like he'll be really good. Potentially, if he hadn't had all of last season off and was uh, had a few more minutes under his belt and was more AFL ready, you might have picked him. Potentially playing in a weaker side where he'd have a bigger role, you might pick him. But for me, I just don't like his time on ground was really low the other night. I think the Suns have got plenty other places that they can look for point scoring. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll play a lot. I think he's going to be an awesome player, but I just don't think you're going to get value for 200,000. So I think the 42% ownership's pretty high.
Pretty high, I know. He was one that was in and out of my team. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just got a bit of jitters. I don't know, playing in the seniors for the first time, and then things just click after that first price rise or something. And then it's one of those sort of rookies that we miss out on. But yeah, from what I've seen at the moment, yeah, I'm not confident he's going to be a high scoring sort of rookie for us at the moment as well. So he's out. So him and Dersmer have both been out as well for me. All right, so if I go through the list, what are your thoughts then on Annabelle then at 181,000
Yeah.
with McCluggage now getting injured? He's only in 5% of teams.
Definitely stands out. It's just you really want them to be somewhere near the like 50% CBAs or something like that in their first season, like at least 30 plus. But it's going to be pretty hard to get that at the Lions when you've got Will Ashcroft sitting in number 3 or 4 of those rotations. You've got Levi Ashcroft that wants more. Zach Bailey would like more. They've just got so many players to go through there. I think if he was in any other team, Annabelle would be a really, really good selection this year. But
They're
I
just too
imagine they're just
deep,
going to
aren't
take it,
they? Yeah,
and they're just going to take it pretty slow with him.
I think so as well. So I did have him in it when he was training pretty well, but no, that probably been out of my team for about a month now anyway. Doesn't look like I think he's going to make enough money there. I don't think.
I
All right.
picked him in my keep a draft, but not for classic.
Yeah, true. All right. So anyone else sort of jumping out for you until I guess we get to 172? I feel like Grill is a must. He's in 62%. What are your thoughts
Wow.
on him at the moment?
So you have him as a must-have.
I did. I'm losing a bit of confidence now, seeing Banks and I think it was a Baker playing across the halfback. I'm not sure he's going to score as well as I initially expected. Like, I don't think he's going to get 25 disposals plus anymore. And as we've seen in, I think, the practice match, he didn't score as great. You know, he might only be like a 60, 65 average scorer now. That's sort of my thoughts. What do you think?
I would, my guess would be that his ceiling would be in that 60-65 range. He's more of like a impact player than a high accumulator as a junior, from my understanding. And definitely they'll try and get as many games into him as they can. But like you said, in that initial practice game, was it against the Bombers where he had 25 touches or whatever? Like there was some really young guys playing in that game, playing
Yeah, true.
just not going to be playing during the season. So,
Yeah.
look, I don't think he's a bad pick out of all the ones that we've discussed so far. He's probably the most likely to end up in my team, and I guess that's reflected in the ownership percentages at 62. But personally, I'm probably going to need the money. I just can't afford 172,000 rookie sitting on my bench.
I've actually pushed him to my bench. I've now got him and Sharp on my bench, which is pretty crazy. That's just happened the last couple of days with Braun, I think, being in, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, just want to start with the rookies first. So, all right. So you've skipped on Grill, or is he in your defense at the moment?
No, I've skipped. He hasn't
Skipped?
really been in
Okay.
my team at all.
Okay. I feel like he's got pretty good job security, though. I reckon he's going to get good
Yeah.
games, and being buy free, I think, could be very handy cover over the buys, plus DPP with
Yeah.
Rosie possibly as well.
And of the 4 that we've discussed so far, I definitely feel like one of them could do quite well this year. But do I want to be paying over 170,000 to gamble on which one? Not personally. I just really want to get that money on my field.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So what rookies do you have then? I mean, if we go through the list, is anyone sort of jumping down from, Ruby, Dow, Farah, maybe? Um,
I'd love to have Sullivan Roby, but he's a fair way off. He'll be one of my favourites, hopefully, going forward. But yeah,
I
back
agree.
injury, so not
Yeah.
happening. Jacob Farrow, I just think that Zach Johnson probably went ahead of him um, in the last few games of the preseason as a rebounding defender. So I think that they want his kicking skills in the team, but I just don't think he's going to get a lot of the ball and he's going to have pretty
He
low
did look
time.
good.
Around.
He looks very class. I saw him at the Richmond game, and he looked very composed by foot with the ball. I was surprised for someone so young. And with
And
Clark
if you,
now as well, I think Clark's injured, done his
that's
ankle.
true.
That could actually open up an extra spot there in defence, possibly. He could be one to watch for an early debut.
I, I think that the Bombers' defense is that medium-sized defender or distributor coming out of defense. We've actually got quite a lot already competing for that spot, so it is going to be hard to get a position. But if you listen to all the Bombers players, like even the captain came out and said Farrow is the standout from the preseason. So just because I think he shocks people with how well he can kick the ball, and so he'll definitely play this year. But is he going to be a high enough super coach scorer? I'm not sure. We're just guessing at this stage. Like we can definitely be wrong on these guys, and we can be correcting into them really early. And I guess that is one advantage of starting a Farrow type, Grill type, is if you need to correct, at least you can correct down, and it's going to be easy. But if you miss them and you don't have the cash, it can be pretty difficult to trade up into.
I agree. I like to start high and move down as well. But I think even with the early buys, if or have you got Sharp then?
Yeah, so Sharp's my most expensive rookie on any line. I just think that he's probably more AFL ready than some of the other guys. I think that there's not necessarily a midfield spot for him. He doesn't, as much as I said that the 200K guys need to have pretty high CBA attendances, I don't think at 149 you do. I think it's going to be a little bit different. His running capacity looks good. I think that he'll be involved and we'll be getting a game pretty early on. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen him sort of named off the interchange. I can't see him being a half forward. I just think, he's probably going to still start at half forward and sort of run up to the contest anyway. He's not going to be stuck or stationed, like a traditional half forward. So I can't see him playing down back though, like being a high disposal half backer. But I think he looks great. He looks so mature as well, and I definitely think they're going to be getting games into him first, and we could actually see Farah and Sharp debut together. That could be very interesting. If that happens, would that change your mind, or would you just pick one?
Depending on my cash situation going into the season, I think that you're probably tossing up between Farrow and Grill, and take one of them if you can afford it. Personally, I just don't see my cash situation changing, and I'll probably just have Sharp as my most expensive guy. But yeah, like I said, things can change depending on selections. We could get a few surprises where some rookies are left out, and we might be forced to pick one or two of these more expensive guys.
I know. That's what I'm worried about as well. So as we go down the list, though, I don't really see anyone jumping out. Cox, no, I don't think he might not even play again this year. Any updates on Sid Draper? I haven't really followed. He's only in 15% of teams at the moment. Is he likely to play soon?
I think he's had an interrupted preseason. Still high raps on him, but from what I've heard from Adelaide supporters, there's not really a spot for him in that midfield at the moment. I think the next guy on the list, Charlie Edwards, is probably more likely to get an early game. Chase Jones, some chance of an early game, but yeah, it does seem pretty thin once you start getting down to that section. I think we're really.
Have you got any of them in your team at the moment?
No, so I've only got 4 rookies at the moment, and this is very, very much team selection dependent going into round 1. So I got Jagger Smith, Dyson Sharp, Blamiers, the late rookie from North. I think if he plays, he's an absolute must-have. And then I've got a placeholder, really. I would love to see Finn McRae get a game just because of his DPP. But at the moment it's a placeholder in that 4th rookie spot, and that's where, if I get forced into it, that's where one of the expensive guys will come in.
Right. I'm just going to go back as well. I've added Smith. I don't think there's any explanation there for him though. But what about Jack Carroll? I know they're playing today, so we're recording this before we can actually see what that's going to look like in round 0. But sounds like he's going to be. He's named. I think he's coming off the interchange. Should be across half back. I think he's a pretty good option for a bench.
Yeah, he's been in my side pretty much the whole time until just a couple of days ago. And so yeah, if he plays all right today, scores 50 plus, he'd be a strong consideration for that spot.
50. I'm hoping for 60 plus, because then I don't know. I don't like seeing like a 45 or 50 in there for that first score, but it makes it a lot easier when they get a good score, doesn't it?
Especially when they're coming in really, really cheap. Like realistically, all I want is job security or someone that's likely to be playing at that price.
True. Yeah. And Arthur Jones, he was sort of in and out. Thought he had good security, but he got knocked out last night. He was in
He sure did.
13%. Yeah. Would you have picked him though if that didn't happen and he did score a 50 or a 60? Or are you sort
Yeah,
of
he's been in that like Finn McRae sort of spot for me, just because of the dual position. I'd really love a dual position player in that spot,
yeah,
but if it's not
same.
going to happen, then that's fine.
I can't see. He was that link I found. Sometimes moving him around to the midfield, but yeah, I just can't find that sort of working either. So yeah, I haven't even had McRae or Schoenberg in there, but Schoenberg's now suspended. Still in 3% of teams. I'm sure people will adjust that once we get the green ticks as well. All right, so you got Sharp, Smith, and who was the other one? Blamiers, was it?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go down the list. Well, he'll be the cheapest. He's in 38%. Okay, so that's pretty strong. So let's go back to the top then. So I'm just going to sort all these to the highest. Who do you think is going to be the top five mids this year?
Oh, geez, scoring wise.
Or
Well, I think that
average.
the top,
Do you want to measure it in average or score? Because sometimes
yeah,
those numbers. Yeah.
average is better because you can't really predict injuries. I mean, you can with some players, but well, I think you've got three locked at the top, right? You've got Butters, Dacos, Bontempelli. They would be the favourites for occupying those top three spots.
Yeah.
And then then you can throw a blanket over them. Dawson, Noah Anderson, Matt Rao, maybe Callahan could enter that conversation. I think Heaney's probably underpriced as well.
Do you think Heaney spends too much time up forward though?
It depends. It will really depend. If he's had a full preseason, which he didn't have last year, the season before he did, and he crushed it. So like if you remember 2 seasons ago, he was just destroying
He was.
the game and like looking towards a Brownlow medal sort of thing. So yeah, I think that Heaney. I'm not sure whether Goulden's going to get there. He's just a really nice starting price, and then maybe like a Sam Walsh player could get in that direction, but I'm not sure if he'd be top five.
Are you worried about what we've seen now in the first couple of games as well? Do you think, if we look at Bont with 130, Butters 121, and then really you got McCluggage 119 average last year, and then Rao and Smith 118. Are they like? Do you think they might actually drop a bit this year because there's more players now? Points are going to be 3,300 is going to be shared across more players on field. That we might see those averages drop, or do you have any concerns about that, or are you still pretty confident in those Uber guys?
Yeah, definitely have thought about it, but I think I've kind of dismissed it in my brain that like maybe all of the like elite premiums are just that little bit overpriced because it is going to be diluted a little bit. But then if you look at the way that some of the coaches have handled it already, they've basically been using the fifth bench player as a sub anyway. You might end up with just like two players getting 50% game time each on the bench, and it's not really going to have a huge impact on those elite premiums. They're just going to play the same amount of game time anyway because you want them on the field. So I'm not totally convinced that we're going to end up with like less game time for the top guys, and if it is, it'll be like in my mind you're looking at only a couple of percent. So that can be made up with a few kicks that hit the target.
Right. Interesting.
What do you think?
I'm changing my tack from what I've seen. I'm actually going more value. I had Bont, Butters, and Dacos in my team. I'm a bit worried about Bont spending a bit more time up forward. He only got 19 disposals last night, so I've taken him out. I think you hit some of the sort of value options there in Goulden, um, who could be up the top, and Walsh as well. I mean, we've already got a good score in. So I think they're a chance to be top 15. I'm not expecting them to be top five, possibly not even top 10, but I think they're probably going to bounce back this year. Walsh price at 100, I think he could be going at about 110. And if everyone else pulls back a little bit, I still think there's going to be enough upside in those picks. I'm also weighing up a Sarong as well.
Yeah.
Sarong at 105. What are your thoughts on Sarong?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Moving over to WA, Fremantle on my second team now, and to watch quite a lot of them last year. Sarong got tagged out of a lot of games, or well, that was probably the main cause, and he is the number one guy that they're going to go to. Although Hayden Young could become pretty damaging, and they might start going to him a little bit. I doubt that Sarong posts a 105 again. I just don't. I just think he's more of a 112 player. So if you are looking
112.
for,
Interesting.
if
That would be a lock then for me. I know last year's stats seem a bit misleading. I think his contested points from contested possessions or something were really high, but his outside sort of transition scores I've seen some were quite low. And I think that came down to him being tagged as well and getting a lot more attention. So if someone like Young can take some of that pressure away, and maybe Sarong can unleash a bit, I actually agree. I think he's got potential to get back to 110. I'd love a 112. I mean, I reckon that will put him back into sort of that top 15 then, mids, which would
well,
be a keeper.
well, he's done over 110 two out of the last three seasons. He's still really young. You would expect Fremantle to win more games this year. There's
True.
like I doubt that he would go backwards from where he was. So from that perspective, he
That's
definitely
sort of the
presents some
floor.
value, and not having a buy early is a big advantage. I followed George FBDonkey on YouTube, and he was so burnt by Sarong last year that I think I've taken a little bit of that on in my own perspective, and just that, yeah, he's sort of like not touchable because it's just that the potential is there, and he just wasn't able to do it last year. So,
I still,
yeah,
I
he hasn't.
still remember the year before, 2024. I didn't start him. Just looking at Sarong, the last couple of days, he's now made it. He's been in and out of my team, but instead of Bonds, I just think he might possibly, get close to Bond's score. Even if it's maybe 5 points average difference, they're priced at 25-point difference at the moment, and he's going to be buy free, whereas the Bond's not. So I remember that hot start that he had in 2024, and that was just like it felt like season over for me. I think it was averaging about 130 after the first 10 games as well. Yeah, he got some monster
Yeah, I remember
scores,
that.
and yeah, a lot of people started him, and I think I eventually brought him in, and he dropped off at the end of that year.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a bit of a disaster there as well. But
So the counter to that is that we now have a year and a half of him not producing quite that same level, in the sense that he overperformed in the first half of 2024.
true.
Just because when he does start overproducing,
And
he does get more attention.
I think though that's what we might see this year again though with his run, right? Geelong's a pretty tough matchup, but he seems to actually score pretty good against them. But looking at sort of Melbourne, I think that's probably going to be pretty easy, and it's at Optus Stadium. He seems to do better a bit at Optus. Then you got Richmond, then you got Adelaide, Collingwood. So no real tags you'd expect from Adelaide or Collingwood. And then I feel like it opens up with West Coast, Carlton, and eventually Essendon in round 10. I think he could have a monster first 10 weeks. Again, similar to 2024 with Sorong, looking at that run. And a lot of them are kind of at Optus Stadium and Adelaide Oval as well. That Adelaide and Collingwood game. He seems to do pretty well, I think, at Adelaide Oval as well, compared to other stadiums. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning more towards Sarong now. And he's only in 11%, um, which I'm pretty surprised. So I've rejigged my midfield for value now with that sort of Goulden, Walsh, and Sarong. But I'm leaving Butters in there as well.
Yeah,
Who's
well, I think that
Yeah,
our starting point should be all of our players should hold value. I know that there's like some arguments that you could make that you might want to pick one or two for captaincy that don't have value, but we should really be going.
well, that's
We should really be
Butters.
expecting all. Well,
Yeah,
we should really be expecting all of our players to average more than they did last year that are in our team, and I think the Butters fits in that category. I think at 654, it's actually I'm picking him for value. I think he can go higher than 121.
really. I think it'll
Yeah, I
start.
do.
I think it'll start hot. I'd love to catch that sort of 125, 130 average to start. But you got North, Essendon, West Coast. Yeah, you're right. I think there'll be a lot of value early, but then I'd be stoked if he still did the 121. I think it's going to
And
be
I
hard
think
this year for captains.
Dacos is the same. Like I'm picking Dacos as with 628, expecting that there's huge value in there coming off a 116 average. Dacos is a 128 averaging player in my mind.
Really, that would put him number
So
one pretty much. I've had similar thoughts, but he's one that's been in and out of my team. So who your structure was three mids, wasn't it? So you got Butters, Dacos.
yeah,
Who was your third?
so four mids, four premium mids. So Butters, Dacos as high priced value, I would call them.
Yep.
And then Goulden and Walsh at the moment. Goulden just seems way too obvious that he would present some value at 566 and
Yep.
increased role. The game's just like look at the center bounces, like they're just going to want the ball in his hands as much as possible. You expect Sydney to be better.
Yep.
There's just so many reasons why Goulden should perform more than what he's priced at. And I was very, very, very reluctant and dismissive on Walsh at the start of the season just because like the idea of a chronic back injury seems crazy to me.
Someone shared of him in that game in the practice, or I think he tackled someone and he's just got up and reached for his back, and then he came off and went back and played the whole game. Have you seen that footage of him?
I have not, and if I'd seen it, we probably wouldn't be in my side right now because I'm very, very scared, and I very much think that he will get injured at some stage. It's just if you start looking in that price bracket, like where else are you going to go?
I know. Well, I'm actually leaning towards now an LDU type at 526,000. He's only in 3% of teams at the moment. I'm not counting Petrarca because I've got him up forward at the moment. But look at LDU's run, right? This is just a consideration, right? Port, he might get a bit of attention there against Drew, but he's got a pretty good last three rounds: 114, 117, 122. Doesn't seem like it's any problem. Then he's got West Coast. Then he's got Bombers. And then I think it's even easier, Carlton and then Richmond in round 6 as well. So he could be a really good player to hold over those early buys and then flip to someone who's a gun but got an early buy, like a Dacos, Goulden, or Walsh possibly as well. Have you entertained that idea though?
Not a chance. No, I did start him in 2024 and held him through, and then he came really good in the second half. If I remember though, he's renowned for being really poor to start the season. I think like the last 4 years, his starts to the season have been really, really slow. Maybe there'll be something different this year, but can we explain why he'd scored so badly last year?
Look at 2023. I did hear that as well. 2023, he came out averaging 149 after the first 2 games, and then he didn't play. But we could argue he actually started that really hot and then dropped off, and it looked like due to a laid out, I think it was. So
Yeah,
that's not enough? No, don't trust him?
No, yeah, like I'd be much, much more interested in a Sarong who's gone over 110 a couple of times than LDU. I think that North have a lot of players to go through that midfield. They're just not very good. I think you'd be expecting North to be a lot better.
All right, so imagine someone does go full value, but also buy free. I mean, now you could skip on Dacos, Gould, and Walsh and have Butters, LDU, and Sarong. I wonder how that would hold up against Dacos, Goulden, and Walsh, for instance. Anyway, it's something I've been pondering. I just think they could get off to a really red hot start and an early buy free as well. So I'm sort of between all those players. They've been like a merry-go-round, I guess, in my team there. So
I wonder whether we're underestimating the amount that the buys are going to impact us, because there wasn't as many teams on the buy last year, was it? Or they was more split out, or
we had the cyclone as well. So I think we sort of got Lions and Essendon. So I think it was less than what should have been, which did.
So I just think that maybe we're underestimating how big of an impact those early buys are going to have, and we should be going for more buy free. In the past, I've just gone with just don't even really think about the buys and just go for it, and that strategy seems to work better than spending way too much time compromising my team because of the buys.
Yeah, I do worry about that as well. I've got a theory that having a high ceiling player like your Butters or Goulden, if they can do like a 160, right, with the right matchup, it's like having another rookie on field anyway. You get that sort of 120 plus the extra 40. Whereas having a very deep midfield, mid-pricer team, right, say Braun at M7 or M8 even, and then deep in the rest of the team, you might have 20 sort of good options, good scoring options, but you're only going to get the best 18 anyway, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
that sort of best 18 player might be like an 80, but because you go deep, that best 20 player might be like a 75, right? Whereas someone who's gone the true guns and rookies, their sort of 19th player might be a 55, and then the 20th might be a 55 as well, or something like a really low end rookie. Does that kind of make sense? Have you thought about that as well?
Yeah, no, I have. And I think that it sort of, we would probably be going more of a mid-pricer value strategy if it wasn't for the buys. I think that the buys do encourage you to be a little bit more guns and rookies because of that.
Interesting. So let's get to the mid prices then. Is there anyone else that sort of stood out for you? So we'll skip to
Uh,
mid. Yep.
so Young and Parrish were in my first team that I made, and they haven't left.
Yeah, same. Just too much value, isn't there?
So my favorite type of mid-pricer is someone that's done it before and is discounted because of injury. I think that the mid-pricers that are going to break out are really, really hard to predict, and they have a huge failure rate. So I try and avoid those guys. But if a player has clearly done it before and is discounted because of injury, that's right in my wheelhouse. That's sort of player that I can have a lot more faith in, that I'm willing to gamble on. And under 400,000, I think they're just both obvious. If Young was 450, it'd be a bit trickier because I think his ceiling is probably capped. Buy free's great, but I think he's probably more of a 105 than a 110 guy. Might need trading out at some point. But yeah, both Young and Parrish with no early buys, huge upside, and under 400K, they're way too irresistible. There's no way I would start without those guys if they're named.
I agree. It's very rare. Like you're lucky to get one risky option like that, I guess, at that sort of value. And if you miss it, sometimes it feels like a season over. And now we've got two just in the midfields there as well. If both come out firing, they could both do 110 over a short period as well. Would be absolute must-haves. So I think the ownership justifies that anyway. 50% for Young. I think Parrish was a bit lower though. Where was he? 45%. So it seems like some people are a bit scared of Parrish more than Young. I feel like Parrish has more job security or role security than Young. Any thoughts on that though?
Yeah, I think the Young is still top four mids at Freo. Parrish is definitely top three at the Bombers. I guess that the Fremantle are going to get a higher split of the pie, but just because they're a lot better than Essendon.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that Parrish is also like $50,000-$60,000 cheaper. So yeah, Parrish would probably be in before Young for me.
It's weird. It seems like people want to skip on Parrish. I just think that's crazy. I think it's worth the risk. I mean, if he gets injured after one or two, they're going to look like genius. Anyway, but I just think if he stays fit, he could be a keeper, like a Chera for us last year, and Chera was like 100 grand more. Anyway, so it's funny you mentioned though those other players under 400. I'm looking at Langford and Reed as well. They could possibly be getting that breakout year, possibly. Sounds like they're going to have a good role. If Langford does get moved to the midfield, he's only in 4% of teams. But Reed as well. It seems like 11% of teams for Reed. Any thoughts on those two? Do you reckon?
Yeah, those ones are tricky. So both of those guys are the opposite type of mid-pricer that I was talking about. They're the breakout guys. Langford in his second year, I think it's very, very hard to pick. The players just don't do it. He showed incredible form last year. Plenty of the ball, kicks goals. Like he's exactly what you would hope for in that role. But in a second year guy, like at 384, you're really needing him to average over 100. He could average 90, and it'd be said that he had a great year. So I think that that's probably just a bit much for him. And also playing for Melbourne doesn't help. Reed's a tricky one. He's definitely been in my side once or twice this year. 380 is a good price.
He actually looks the best he's ever looked, but he just hasn't got those scores. You're right. He just hasn't proven anything that he can break out, has he?
I think that like third year, it's still probably we're a season early on him, or maybe 2 seasons early on him. I think he's going to be in our teams at some stage. West Coast being pretty crap is again not going to help. How does any midfielder average over 100 for that team? And are we looking for 100 average from Harley Reid? That's a lot for a team that's going to lose a lot. So yeah, look, if I was going to pick one of those 2 guys, it would be Harley Reid. I can understand why people are picking him. I just don't think I'm going to go there. I think it's too much to ask for him.
I haven't gone to either, even though they're buy free. I just can't find a way to get them in. I just don't trust them. Even if they do 85, yes, they might make a bit of money, but if they get to 430, make 50k maybe, I just don't think that's going to be worth it though. So
that's not even close.
No, they've been avoids for me.
I think that if there was no Young or Parrish, I might consider Harley Reid a lot stronger.
It's funny how each year changes, isn't it? And then you take that sort of risk, and then it pays off, and you look like a genius as well. So, but yeah, just in this year, I don't think it's going to be worth it for that though. I agree. All right, any others then that stand out for you? I'm just sort of going down the list.
Yeah, so there's only one really. Well, I guess there's 2, but or maybe even 3. But Tanner Bruhn, I think, is going to be hard not to pick him after watching his role the other night. He's got a lot to prove this year, and is that extra good price. So if he was 340, I don't think I'm going anywhere near him. But at 276, that's so much value. Like, he doesn't need to average 105 at 276. If he comes out and averages 85, you're like, sweet, that was a great pick. Got me heaps of points on field. I made a bunch of money. I can get off him. Like, what a great result. And 85 seems really achievable.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I think. He wasn't
in your side.
He's been in and out of my team, but I just feel like there's so much value this year. I seem to have a lot of cash to upgrade, to your bonds and day cost. But now I've kind of had to, by trimming some money off bond and day cost for me and going a bit more value, it's allowed me to get a rookie up to Braun as well, right? From 120 up to 270. I just have to get sort of 150. And I think that's going to have a massive difference on field. I know it's just that one. But yeah, it's just, I agree. I think he's a must-have now, and happy if he goes at 85. He's in 38% of teams. He's got a 91. I think he'll be.
A 91 in a massive loss as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the other thing though. Maybe they change if they lose again next week. Who do they play? That could be a dangerous game for them. Freo, right? We're talking up Freo here that they could be, very good this year. I know they're playing at Geelong though, but yeah, that could be a danger game for them already after the grand final. They come out 0-2, go into a bye, and then they come back to play Adelaide in round 3. Maybe they've got to change Braun's role. I know Chris Scott said that he won't be changing too much, but there is a bit of risk there. But I still think he'll be good anyway.
So what do you think about like Bruhn versus Grill? So you get an extra 100k if you go down to the rookie.
You say that. I did upgrade Grill to Bruhn, but I've also now found a way to get Grill. But I mean, all that could change. It's been a bit. My midfield's been my biggest sort of mess at the moment. I do want to touch on someone else though, who's just a little bit more expensive than Bruhn, but scored better, and that's Canigulo. What are your thoughts? At 321,000, he scored a 122, and it didn't even look like he was playing in the mids. He was playing more like a half-forward role.
I think that, and that's the problem. That if he's playing a half-forward role, he's just very, very unlikely to average enough to hold down a mid spot. So I was on the bandwagon. I don't know whether you remember, what was it, 2-3 years ago when he was an incredible mid-pricer pick. I started in my team that year, season changing, like absolute must have. But that was like I think he was cheaper than what he is now, and he was playing midfield and available to pick as a forward.
Yeah.
Now he's older,
That's right.
more expensive, only available as a midfielder and playing as a forward. So I think that it's not a repeat of last time. So great player, great starting score, could turn out to be a great pick. But he's
what if he's like
not in my
a
team.
Tukamilla, starts at half forward but pushes up to the contest as well? It seemed like on the heat map though he was pretty deep though in the forward 50, and he got 3 goals for that as well. I think they've got
and Giants played great.
Yeah, and they did play great as well. So no, not a consideration. You didn't see enough.
Not personally, no. If he was available as a forward, I'd be much more interested. But as a midfielder, I guess you're looking at Cornelio versus Bruin, right? That's probably an interesting question. You save 40k on Bruin, but Cornelio's got the runs on the board. So that realistically, that probably is an interesting question that people should be tossing those two up. For me, it's Bruin because I just need the money, but I'm not going to say that Bruin's way ahead of him.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. I'm still watching to see, but I just can't. Yeah, after seeing the heat map last night for Canigula, I just can't fit him in now. And seeing Rouston, he got it seemed like the right role, but he only scored 60, which is kind of what I expected, because last year he had multiple games where he had, I think, 40 or 50% CBAs, and he only really averaged like 75. So this was sort of a 60. I don't think that's an option to pick.
I think I'm not sure whether you saw my tweet last night about people being able to avoid traps because of round 0 results, and me being a bit disappointed in that. And I think Rouston's a perfect example of that. Really? That a lot of people were going to get sucked. He wasn't the number one person, no, like Fraser. There was plenty of players out there that I thought were obvious traps, and people are now going to be able to avoid because they got to see what their role is actually in round, like in the AFL.
Braun could be a trap though.
Yeah, but we saw what his role is in an AFL game. So often these guys will get roles in preseason games that show that their scoring is really high. They've had a great preseason, but then when it comes to the actual AFL, they're not playing those roles. They're just been training in those roles as just in case or for a couple of years' time or whatever. But Bruin actually had the role in the AFL. And I think that's why I'm more convinced on him.
Yeah. Okay. So you think that roll down back's going to stick for him, for Bruin?
Down back and going into the midfield, it seems like and his running capacity was great, getting lots of outside ball
as well. Yeah, he did look good with the ball. So that's interesting. Yeah, Rosen's not. I was always more leaning towards Canigula because he's done it before, but yeah, that age is a factor. I think both are sort of out now. So, who's your M8 then? Oh, it'll be Smith, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Jager Smith, and then your bench was Sharp, wasn't it?
Sharp, rookie to be determined, and Blamiers if he's selected.
Right. So you had, I think you had McRae as a player.
Yeah, but McRae could. I'm quite happy for that person to be Carroll or
I just don't think
anyone
else
else
going to get named. I don't know, just from what I've seen.
He's
Robinson
honestly hasn't been in my team all preseason, so just came in very late because I need a cheap guy.
Yeah, but Blamiers, I think Blamiers is fine. More McRae though. He's in 41%. I just think he'll be like an emergency or something. Come round 1, everyone will have to scramble. But you're right, easy to sort of pivot to someone else. All right, well, looking pretty good. So pretty similar to my midfield. I'm just not going Dacos at the moment, but again, that could change tonight. But I'm sort of looking at a very similar midfield with that value there as well. So I'm targeting Goulden, Walsh, possibly LDU or Sarong. I just think that's going to be too good to sort of pass off, I think, with the buy freeze. So, no, that's good. I think we've covered the midfield pretty well. Anyone else with Misso?
No, I don't think so. I think you don't want to go too far out of the box with your starting team. I mean, it depends a little bit what your goal is. If your goal is to stay engaged with SuperCoach all year, you need to pick a reasonably standard team. If your goal is like, oh, I'm just going to go for the win, and if my team sucks, I'll just don't care. Maybe you can be a bit more unique, but I think picking from a fairly tight group of people is a fairly good strategy most years. I would say
teams looking the same, doesn't it? Like similar.
Yeah, and it's felt like this the last few years, especially, and I think round 0 makes that a lot more likely. But there's also some very, very obvious players in the other lines that we haven't spoken about, which like everyone's forward line is pretty much exactly the same, and so that really limits the options. But then the rucks are different this year. If I was going to give advice to someone like, hey, I just need a 5-minute. I'm going to pick my team. I would be picking Butters, Dacos, Goulden, Young, Parrish as the non-negotiables, and then Jagger Smith with 3 or 4 other rookies, and then fill in the other gaps based on what we've said, like Bruin, Walsh, Sarong, whatever. Any of those guys will probably work out okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think there's some just the Dacos one though. I know a lot of people have sort of faded him early, and it seems to have worked out. I'm just worried that maybe this year might not be the year to do that as well. I think the game might suit him better as well. But I'm just weighing that up to see. I don't want too many on the buys. That's the issue. And round 2 buy as well. It's frustrating.
I kind of just feel like in my eyes, he's probably top 3 player in the AFL, if not number 1. And he's available at 6.28 as a midfielder.
He'll be
seems to have had a good preseason.
In the years to come, won't he? He'll be the new sort of Bont or Butters, I think, getting to that 700,000. I can see that. That's
my perception of the situation. So therefore, when he's 6.28, I'm going to pick him. Next year, if he's 700, I might not.
Yeah. No, good. All right. Well, thank you for that.